Okay, so welcome to the English Book Club, and we're reading Five Children and It. Okay, so we've been reading it a couple of weeks now, and we're actually on chapter 2. I've given you the link, so that's the book we're reading from. I know a couple of you have got a different link. It's up to you, but I might correct you when it's just a difference between the texts. So just be aware. All right. Reading list is Rima to start. So Rima, are you ready?
Yes, okay.
Okay, take it away.
Okay, chapter 2, Golden Guineas. Antia woke in the morning from a very real sort of dream, in which she was walking in the zoological gardens on a pouring wet day without an umbrella. The animals seemed desperately unhappy because of the rain, and were all growling gloomily. When she awoke, both the growling and the rain went on just the same. The growling was the heavy regular breathing of her sister Jane, who had a slight cold and was still asleep. The rain fell in slow drops onto Antia's face from the wet corner of a bath towel out of which her brother Robert was gently squeezing the water to wake her up, as he now explained. "Oh, drop it," she said rather crossly. So he did, for he was not a brutal brother, though very ingenious in apple pie beds, booby traps, original methods of awaking sleeping relatives, and the other little accomplishments which make home happy. "I had such a funny dream," Antia began. "So did I," said Jane, waking suddenly and without warning. "I dreamed we found a sand fairy in the gravel pits, and it said it was a semiad, and we might have a new wish every day, and—" "But that's what I dreamed," said Robert. "I was just going to tell you, and we had the first wish directly it said so. And I dreamed you girls were donkeys enough to ask for us all to be beautiful as they. And we jolly well were, and it was perfectly beastly. But can't different people all dream the same thing?" said Anthea, sitting up in bed. "Because I dreamed all that as well as about the zoo and the rain, and baby didn't know us in my dream, and the servants shut us out of the house because the radiantness of our beauty was such a complete disguise, and—" The voice of the eldest brother sounded from across the landing. "Come on, Robert," it said. "You'll be late for breakfast again, unless you mean to shirk your bath as you did on Tuesday." "I say, come here a second," Robert replied. "I didn't shirk it. I had it after breakfast in father's dressing room because ours was emptied away." Cyril appeared in the doorway, partially clothed. "Look here," said Antia. "We've all had such an odd dream. We've all dreamed we found a sand fairy." Her voice died away before Cyril's contemptuous glance. "Dream," he said. "You little sillies, it's true. I tell you it all happened. That's why I'm so keen on being down early. We'll go up there directly after breakfast and have another wish. Only we'll make up our minds solid before we go what it is we do want, and no one must ask for anything unless the others agree first. No more peerless beauties for this child, thank you, not if I know it." The other three dressed, with their mouths open, if all that dream about the sand fairy was real. This real dressing seemed very like a dream, the girls thought. Jane felt that Cyril was right, but Anthea was not sure till after they had seen Martha and heard her full and plain reminders about their naughty conduct the day before. Then Anthea was sure. Because, said she, servants never dream anything but the things in the dream book, like snakes and oysters, and going to a wedding. That means a funeral, and snakes are a false female friend, and oysters are babies. Talking of babies, said Cyril, where's the lamp? Martha's going to take him to Rochester to see her cousins. Mother said she might. She's dressing him now, said Jane, in his very best coat and hat. Bread and butter, please.
Okay.
She seems to like...
Okay, yep, well done. Nicely done. Okay, so well done. Just one little thing. Always at the end. There's always something at the end. So, just 2 words. So, very well read. Well done. The first one, though, is clothed. It's just a silent E, not clothed. So, you've got clothes, yeah, silent E, and clothed is also a silent E. Try it.
Clothed.
That's it. Good. And then coat. Just make sure you get the T ending.
Coat.
Coat. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Because it was like code, or it wasn't even that, and I wasn't sure what you'd actually said. It might be my hearing going, but I don't think so.
Could you repeat Liam first word, how to pronounce?
Clothed.
Clothed.
Clothed. Just clothed. Yeah. Clothed. Clothed.
Clothed. Clothed. Oh, I can't.
That's because you're still seeing the E. Just close your eyes, don't look at the word, and say clothed.
But did you say z like closed?
Clothed.
Closed.
Can you say closed?
Closed.
Okay,
Closed.
you can say closed, you can say clothed. It's just from the z to the th. Clothed.
Clothed. Oh, clothed.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
TH is pretty
I know,
hard.
I know. It's just, it just takes practice. Okay. Okay, tough guy's trying to find us. How come he can never find us? Because I can never send him a teleport. That's the problem. Oh well, he'll just have to take a text thing. There you go. Okay, so the next bit is just about intonation. So it's a whole sentence. The pronunciation was perfect, okay? So don't worry about the pronunciation. It's just the intonation. And it's an if sentence, so it's an if clause, okay? If all that dream about the sand fairy was real, this real dressing seemed very like a dream, the girls thought, okay? So the girls are thinking, if that, then this. Do you want to try it, or do you want me to read it again?
Okay. If all that dream about the sand fairy was real, this real dressing seemed very like a dream, the girls thought.
That's it. That little bit at the end, the girls thought, is almost a little throwaway statement. You don't have to stress on it at all. The most important part is the if part of the sentence, and then it's just adding who was thinking that, and the fact that it was both the girls thinking it. Oh well, if that was a dream, this very real might be a dream too. Everything might be a dream. I thought. Okay, I just want to confirm everybody knows what they mean by apple pie beds. Has anybody ever had an apple pie bed? Your favourite?
I wanted to ask that.
I thought you might. I've forestalled you.
I watched one video with this one little boy, naughty boy, prepared the trap for the victim.
Okay.
I will
It's a
find
harmless trap. It's a
it.
harmless prank. Okay. So I wouldn't
Yes, a
call it
good
a
prank.
trap as such. It's a prank. Yeah. A prank. I mean, basically, it's a practical joke. Okay. And what you do is, it doesn't really work with duvets. It only works if you have blankets and sheets. So it's a little bit of an old-fashioned prank nowadays with continental duvets everywhere. But you just basically fold back the sheet so that you can't actually stretch out fully. Okay, your feet get caught in the sheet. Okay. Now there's another apple pie bed that I also know of where it's a bit nastier and it involves actually making the bed wet, but that's a different. Uh, That's a different
Did
kind of
I
prank.
shared this video with this little boy
Okay.
making.
Let's have a look. I can't actually. Oh no, it's asking me if I want to open it. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Antonio11 and this is my video on how to short sheet. Now, short sheeting a bed is a very easy prank because you don't need...
My goodness, he took 5 minutes to explain it. Okay. It doesn't really need 5 minutes explanation. Yeah, they call it short sheeting. I think that must be an American term, but it's an apple pie bed. And as I say, there's also another version where you actually make sure that the bed is wet. But I'm not sure if that's called an apple pie bed or if that's got another name. But there are lots of little pranks like that that little brothers are meant to carry out on you. I don't have any brothers, so I kind of missed out on all that. Thank goodness. Okay. So, who's next to read? April, you're next. Is that okay? Is there any more questions? Was that your only question, April?
Is that
A
a
brecker is,
breakfast?
yeah, it's a
Breakfast.
nice
Breakfast.
brecker. It's a nice sort of like example of how families create their own language. Okay, it's short for breakfast. It's not standard. You might find breckers in the dictionary, but they obviously all know what each other mean. So it's like family jargon, if you like. Have you had your brekker this morning, April?
No.
No. Oh my goodness. What time did you get up? Were you straight into Marion's
Only-
class?
Only a mug of coffee, that's all.
Okay. Oh, I've had tea. I've had coffee. I've had my breakfast biscuits. Yeah, I've had my coffee biscuits. I'm well ahead of you. Okay, so April, whenever you're ready then, unless there are any more questions, then take it away.
Okay. No, Shani, I never really take breakfast. I never have breakfast in the morning. Only brunch. Okay. She seems to like taking him too, said Robert in a tone of wonder. Servants do like taking babies to see their relations, Cyril said. I've noticed it before, especially in their best clothes. I expect they pretend they're their own babies, and that they're not servants at all, but married to noble dukes of high degree, and they say the babies are the little dukes and duchesses. Jane suggested dreamily, taking more marmalade. I expect that's what Martha will say to her cousin. She'll enjoy herself most frightfully. She won't enjoy herself most frightfully carrying our infant duke to Rochester, said Robert. Not if she's not anything like me, she won't. Fancy, fancy walking to Rochester with the lamp on your back, said Cyril in full agreement. She's gone by the carrier's cart, said Jane. Let's see them off. Then we shall have done a polite and kindly act, and we shall be quite sure we've got rid of them for the day. So they did. Martha wore her Sunday dress of 2 shades of purple, so tight in the chest that it made her stoop, and her blue hat with the pink cornflowers and white ribbon. She had a yellow lace collar with a green bow, and the lamp had indeed his very best cream-colored silk coat and hat. It was a smart party that the carrier's cart picked up at the crossroads. When its white tilt and when its white tilt and red wheels had slowly vanished in a swirl of chalk dust. And now for the Samyet, said Cyril, and off they went. As they went, they decided on the wish they would ask for. Although they were all in a great hurry, they did not try to climb down the sides of the gravel pit, but went round by the safe lower road as if they had been carts. They had made a ring of stones round the place where the sand fairy had disappeared, so they easily found the spot. The sun was burning and bright, and the sky was deep blue, without a cloud. The sand was very hot to touch. Oh, suppose it was only a dream, after all, Robert said, as the boys uncovered their spades from the sand heap where they had buried them and began to dig. Suppose you were a sensible chap, said Cyril, once quiet as likely as the other. Suppose you kept a civil tongue in your head, Robert snapped. Suppose we girls take a turn, said Jane, laughing. You boys seem to be getting very warm. Suppose you don't come putting your silly oar in, said Robert, who was now warm indeed. We won't, said Anthea quickly. Robert dear, don't be so grumpy. We won't say a word. You shall be the one to speak to the fairy and tell him what we've decided to wish for. You'll say it much better than we shall. Suppose you drop being a little humbug, said Robert, but not crossly. Look out, stick with your hands now. So they did, and presently uncovered the spider-shaped brown hairy body, long arms and legs, bat's ears and snail's eyes of the sand fairy himself. Everyone drew a deep breath of satisfaction, for now, of course, it couldn't have been a dream. The Samyat sat up and shook the sand out of its fur. How is your left whisker this morning? Said Anthea politely. Nothing to boast of, said it. It had rather a restless night, but thank you for asking. I say, said Robert, do you feel up to giving wishes today, because we very much want an extra beside the regular one? The extra's a very little one, he added reassuringly.
Okay, well done.
Thank you. I feel that I've got the cyber attack. I can't speak anymore.
Okay, I don't think it affects your brain.
Wanna cry.
Oh, that was so funny. Poor Marion didn't have a clue what you were talking about. You shouldn't confuse teachers on Monday morning, you know. Okay, very nicely read. Let's have a look at the text. Okay, so a few words with that need a bit of work on the pronunciation. Okay, the first one, that is cream coloured, not creme, cream.
Yeah, I pronounce it as in
Well, we do
French.
have the word creme for like creme brulee, creme de la creme, etc. I'm watching the Great British Bake Creme de la Creme at the moment, which is fantastic. I love it. I'm addicted to it. My husband doesn't understand why I want to watch people baking little pastries, but there's something about watching people bake 150 pastries in an hour that just tickles my fancy. I don't know. Maybe it's the sadist in me. But anyway, but when it's written EAM, it takes the EAE sound, cream coloured. Try it.
Uh, Cream colored.
That's it. And then lower. It's not like glower. Lower. Low, lower, the lowest. Try it.
Lower.
That's it. Lovely. And then buried. You buried it. Buried, like a berry. Raspberry,
Buried.
strawberry, and buried. Okay? Okay. Then the next one, I think you just misread it. It actually says one's quite as likely as the other, not quiet. Quite. Okay?
Ah, yeah. One's
Okay.
one's quite as likely as the other.
Good. Now, the next one, this is purely about intonation. It's not she won't, it's not if she's anything like me, she won't. It's she won't, as in she won't do. It's like the she won't. If you said it at the beginning, she won't do that. Okay, so not if she's like anything like me, she won't. She won't do that. Try it.
Ah, not if she's anything like me, she won't.
That's
Why?
it.
Why do you?
Yeah.
Why can I give the stress there? She won't. No.
Because it's supporting that she won't. He's already said she won't, but by saying not if she's anything like me, she won't.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I
It's just
understand.
supporting, it's not the main part. Oh, no, she won't. Oh, yes, she will. It's not an argument, it's a statement. She won't. If you're anything like me, you won't. Okay? That
Okay.
kind of thing. Okay, and then the last one, I'm trying to forestall April's question, to put your oar in, or to stick your oar in, we actually say. Don't stick your oar in. And it just means don't give an opinion if you haven't been asked for one. Okay? It's like, who asked you? So, any other questions?
I
Welcome
don't do
back,
that,
Mars.
Ellen.
No, never. Oh dear. Okay. Any other questions? I don't know why, but I'm very yawny this morning. If a yawn comes across on the recording, I do apologise. Maybe I need another coffee.
Can you edit it in
If I could be bothered.
oh God.
Can I be bothered? That's the
But
question. No, it's
would
not
it
can
be
you, it's
like
can you be bothered to.
in Audacity? Could it be like deleted?
Yeah, what you have to do, because this is streaming directly into YouTube, so what you have to do, you
Oh, okay.
can't change it in YouTube. You can snip bits out, you can fuzz bits of the video if you don't want something to be seen. That takes, sometimes it doesn't work, as my high fidelity video shows. I tried to fuzz out the little half-naked avatar that turned up and didn't work. I must go back and see if it actually did it in the end, but honestly, a week later it still hadn't actually saved the changes I made. But no, if you want to change the sound, you can either just replace all of the sound with music, or what you have to do is you have to download the whole of the video and then take it into a video editing software and change it there, and then you have to re-upload it. And then it's a new video, so it's not the same video. Okay?
Easy peasy.
No, bit of a faff. But, it's a free service, so I'm not going to complain. But yeah, they could make it easier for people to change these things, but when they did, people abused it. So they'd put up a fairly innocuous video, they'd get comments and likes, and then they'd change it to be something not so innocuous. And so they disabled many of the features because people abused them. Personally, if I were YouTube, I'd have, long-standing accounts given some kind of trusted status so that they could do more. But I guess even that would be open to abuse. So they just don't allow it. But you can, as I say, download. If it's your own video, you can download it. You can do anything to it, change it, and then re-upload it. But not editing the same video that you uploaded in the first place. That's a long explanation, I know. Anyway, Elinor, it is your turn to read. If there are no further questions, if you'd like to start reading whenever you're ready.
Lynn,
Oh, what? Hey, who? What?
Lynn,
What is
yeah.
Moz doing? Moz, what are you doing?
Is it a question, Mark?
But it went wrong.
Try sitting on one of the chairs, Moz. Try sitting down. Oh my goodness, that's giving me a headache. So right click and...
Lynn, could you please share the link again?
Yes, of course, of course, of course, of course.
What
There
is
you go.
civil tongue here, Lynn?
Oh, a civil tongue means speak civilly. It means to speak in a more polite way.
Politely.
Yeah,
Okay.
politely, yeah. So like not swearing and not being abusive. So maybe we should start using the term to keep a civil keyboard in the world of the internet. Keep a civil keyboard on your fingers. But yeah, keep a civil tongue in your head. That is a common phrase.
And civil recording.
Yes. Indeed. Okay, so Elinor, are you ready?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. Said the Sand Fairy. If you read this story aloud, please pronounce hump exactly as it is spelled, for that is how he said it, hump. Do you know, until I heard you being disagreeable to each other just over my head, and so loud too, I really quite thought I had dreamed you all. I do have very odd dreams sometimes. Do you? Jane hurried to say, so as to get away from the subject of disagreeableness. I wish, she added politely, you'd tell us about your dreams. They must be awfully interesting. Is that the day's wish? Said the Sand Fairy, yawning. Cyril muttered something about just like a girl, and the rest stood silent. If they said yes, then goodbye to the other wishes they had decided to ask for. If they said no, it would be very rude, and they had all been taught manners, and had learned a little too, which is not at all the same thing. A sigh of relief broke from all lips when the Sand Fairy said, if I do, I shan't have strength to give you a second wish. Not even good tempers or common sense or manners or little things like that. We don't want you to put yourself out at all about these things. We can manage them quite well ourselves, said Cyril eagerly, while the others looked guiltily at each other and wished the fairy would not keep all on about good tempers, but give them one good scolding if it wanted to, and then have done with it. Well, said the Summit, putting out his long snake's eyes so suddenly that one of them nearly went into the round boy's eye of Robert. Let's have the little wish fest. We don't want the servants to notice the gifts you give us. Are kind enough to give us, said Auntie in a whisper. Are kind enough to give us, I mean, said Robert. The fairy swelled himself out a bit, let his breath go, and said, I've done that for you. It was quite easy. People don't notice things much anyway. What's the next wish? We want, said Robert slowly, to be rich beyond the dreams of something or other. Avarice, said Jane. So it is, said the fairy unexpectedly, but it won't do you much good. That's one comfort. It muttered to itself. Come, I can't go beyond dreams, you know. How much do you want, and will you have it in gold or notes? Gold, please, and millions, millions of it. Is gravel pit full be enough? Said the fairy in an offhand manner. Oh yes. Then you go out before I begin, or you'll be buried alive in it. It made its skinny arms so long and waved them so frighteningly that the children ran as hard as they could towards the road by which carts used to come to the gravel pits. Only Antia had presence of mind enough to shout a timid, "Good morning, I hope your whisker will be better tomorrow," as she ran. On the road they turned and looked back, and they had to shut their eyes and open them very slowly, a little bit at a time, because the sight was so dazzling for their eyes to be able to bear. It was something like trying to look at the sun at high moon on Midsummer Day. For the hell of the sandpit was full right up to the very top with new shining gold pieces, and all the little Bank Martin's little front doors were covered out of sight. Where the road for carts wound into gravel pit, the gold lay in heaps like stones lie by the roadside, and a great bank of shining gold shelved down from where it lay flat and smooth between the tall sides of the gravel pit. And all the gleaming heaps was minted gold. And on the sides and edges of these countless coins the midday sun shone and sparkled and glowed and gleamed, till the quarry looked like a mouth of the smelting furnace, or one of the fairy halls that you see sometimes in the sky at sunset. The children stood with their mouths open, and no one said a word.
Okay, very
last-
good.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Nicely read.
No alarm clock.
No alarm clock, no woofing, no shooting. I can bring it back if you like, but
No, I'm a bit scared.
I
every time,
know,
so
everybody-
even without alarm clocks.
exactly. So, let's have a look. Very nicely read. There's no one particular word that was a problem. I think you misread the first one here. And again, I'm not sure, but I think you must have misread it unless you've got a different text. But if you've got a different text,
No,
the text
the
would be
same.
wrong.
I use your link.
Okay,
No,
it should have been
I used your
two,
link.
not so. Okay,
I see.
was two.
So I misread it.
Okay.
I don't remember, but I did.
Yeah, was too dazzling. Okay, now if you say was so dazzling for their eyes, then you can't put to be able to bear. Okay, because that part of the sentence, okay, it's because the sight was too dazzling for their eyes to be able to bear. And if it was so dazzling, it would be just because the sight was so dazzling. Full stop. Okay.
Yeah, oh, it's not too shiny. It's too flattering. I made the same mistakes very often. Swallow endings.
You're much better than you used to be. Or maybe there's not as many all endings in this book, but I'm not catching any.
Perhaps.
So it's very
yes,
good.
It's not complicated. I don't know.
Anyway, the next one. Oh, could you just read that out then? Was too dazzling for their eyes to be able to bear.
Was too dazzling for their eyes to be able to bear.
That's it. Now the next one is about stress. If you notice in the book, obviously I can't do that in text here, but the yes is in italics, which means stress it. So it's like, oh yes, as in, would that be enough for you? Oh yes. So you need to stress it. Try it.
Oh, yes.
That's it, yeah. Oh, that'll
Oh,
do,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. And then this is said in a whisper, so try it. Are kind enough to give us, said Anthea in a whisper. Try it.
Are kind enough to give us, said Anthea in a whisper.
Yeah, that's right, because she's reminding him what he was meant to say, because they've got to be very, very careful with the Samyads. He likes politeness. He likes to be treated as as an important, I can't say person,
Very.
but as an important creature. Okay. Okay, so any questions?
I really like this book. It's very well written.
It's a lovely
I
book.
haven't-
It was one of my favourites because my mum used to read to us all the time, and this was one of the ones that she read to us, along with all the C.S. Lewis books and Tolkien. Lots of. It's no wonder I like fantasy books, because this is how I grew up. No, everybody okay? Okay, then the next person to read is Shiny. Shiny, are you ready?
At last, Robert stopped and picked up one of the loose coins from the edge of the heap by the cart road and looked at it. He looked on to both sides. Then he said in a low voice, quite different to his own, "It's not Severin's. It's gold anyway," said Cyril. And now they all began to talk at once. They all picked up the golden treasure by handfuls, and let it run through their fingers like water, and the chink it made as it fell was wonderful music. At first, they quite forgot to think of spending the money. It was so nice to play with. Jane sat down between two heaps of gold, and Robert began to bury her as you bury your father in sand when you are at the seaside, and he has gone to sleep on the beach with his newspaper over his face. But Jane was not half buried before she cried out, "Oh, stop! It's too heavy. It hurts." Robert said, "Bosh," and went down. "Let me out, I tell you," cried Jane, and was taken out, very white and trembling a little. You've no idea what it's like," said she. "It's like stones on you, or like chains." "Look here," Cyril said. "If this is to do us any good, it's no good our staying gasping at it like this. Let's fill our pockets and go and buy things. Don't you forget, it won't last after sunset. I wish we'd asked the Samyat why things don't turn to stone. Perhaps this will. I'll tell you what. There's a pony and cart in the village. Do you want to buy that?" asked Jane. "No, silly. We'll hire it, and then we'll go to Rochester and buy heaps and heaps of things. Look here. Let's each take as much as we can carry, but it's not sufferings. They've got a man's head on one side and a thing like the ace of space on the other. Fill your pockets with it, I tell you, and come along. You can go as we go." if you must, Joe. Cyril sat down and began to fill his pockets. You made fun of me for getting father to have 9 pockets in my Norfolks, said he, but now you see. They did, for when Cyril had filled his 9 pockets and his handkerchief and the space between himself and his shirt front with the gold coins, he had to stand up, but he staggered and had to sit down again in a hurry. Throw out some of the cargo, said Robert. You'll sink the ship, old chap. That comes of 9 pockets. And Cyril had to. Then they set off to walk to the village. It was more than a mile, and the road was very dusty indeed. And the sun seemed to get hotter and hotter, and the gold in their pockets got heavier and heavier. It was Jane who said, I don't see how we are to spend it all. There must be thousands of pounds among the lot of us. I'm going to leave some of mine behind this stump in the hedge, and directly we get to the village, we'll buy some biscuits. I know it's long past dinner time. She took out a handful or 2 of gold and hid it in the hollows of an old horn beam. How round and yellow they are, she said. Don't you wish they were gingerbread nuts and we're going to eat them?
Very good.
Well,
Okay, good. Well done. I think you're reading a different version of the book, the one without the pictures, but never mind. We can. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so let's have a look at the individual words. Okay, so the first one's very important. It's a common mistake. Loose, not lose. So to lose is when you've lost something, yeah? If you lose something, you misplace it, you can't find it. But if something is loose, it's like the trousers you were showing us a picture of this morning, Shiny. They're loose, baggy, yeah? Not tight-fitting, loose. So try it.
Yeah. Loose.
That's it, yeah. And then you said it actually correctly the second time, sovereigns.
Sufferings.
Yeah, they were a kind of coin back in the day. You had a sovereign. So I presume because they had the picture of the king or queen on them, I guess. But they were always gold, a gold sovereign. Okay, and it was worth £1, but now it would be worth a fortune. I wish I had some gold sovereigns. Okay.
Okay.
And the next one, newspaper. You've got to get that A sound, otherwise it sounds like pepper. Newspaper. Try it.
Newspaper.
That's it. I read the newspaper online nowadays, to be honest. Okay. Then heavy, not heave, he. Like heaven, heavy.
Heavy.
Yeah. And the last one is that hard G sound, g. Staggered, because it's double G. So we've got stage and staged, yeah, but staggered.
Staggered.
Yeah, so you got stag, and then you've got stage, but staggered. That's where the double G changes the A sound and the hard G sound, okay? Yes, indeed. Any questions? Any questions about the text?
Yes, Lynn, you made fun of me for getting father to have 9 pockets in my suit. By forgetting father.
Yeah, for asking him to, because back in those days you wouldn't go to, I don't know, George's in Asda to buy children's clothes. You wouldn't go to a department store and buy off the peg. You'd have the children's clothes made, or you would make them yourself, get the servants to make them. And so he had his father put 9 pockets in the suit. So he asked his father, "Can I have a suit with 9 pockets in it?" And his father said yes. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
To have someone do something for you rather than to do it yourself. Okay.
So it doesn't have really 9 pockets, Lynn. Like not like jeans. How many pockets have jeans?
Jeans have normally got about 4 pockets, but if you get cargo pants, they've got
3,
4
4.
plus another 2. That's 6. And remember, this
5
is a suit.
pockets. Jeans.
Well, it depends if you count that little coin as a pocket. That's a coin hole. It's not really a very good pocket, is it? It's like a little coin or key holder, or I think it used to be used for something specific. I think it was a watch holder in the past. I think that was used for a watch on a chain when it was the old Levi's in America. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, cargo pants, they have 6 pockets because they've got the front, well, the side, the back, and the 2 at the sides down the leg. So they've got 6. But this is his suit, so he's got 9 pockets. Maybe an inside pocket, maybe 2 pockets that he can put his hands in, and pockets in his trousers. So yeah, you can easily put 9 pockets in a suit. Good for Ryanair, exactly, Eleanor, yes. I mean, who doesn't take their jacket with the most pockets in them so they can get onto a Ryanair flight with as much stuff as possible? Although I believe they've caught on to that trick, and you can only do so much before they'll stop you and make you pay more. Any other questions? Is that okay, April? Is that clear?
Okay, yeah. I couldn't imagine a suit with 9 pockets, but now, yeah,
Trousers and
I
jacket. It's easy. Trousers and jacket. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, next person to read is Moz. Moz, are you ready?
Yes, Lynn.
Excellent. Goody goody. So
I was
whenever
having problem connections.
are you? Oh,
Okay,
well,
Lynn.
I can hear you fine, so that's good. So okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, Lynn. Let me try if my connection is still good. Well, they're not. And we're not, said Cyril. Come on. But they came on heavily and rarely, before they reached the village. More than one stump in the hedge concealed its little hoard of hidden treasure. Yet they reached the village with about 1,200 guineas in their pockets. But in spite of this inside wealth, they looked quite ordinary outside, and no one would have thought that they could have more than a half-crown each at the outside. The haze of heat, the blue of the wood smoke, made up sort of dim, misty cloud over the red roofs of the village. The 4 sat down heavily on the first bench to which they came. It happened to be outside the Blue Boar Inn. He staggered, and had to sit down again in a hurry. It was decided that Cyril should go into the Blue Boar and ask for ginger beer, because, as Anthea said, it was not wrong for men to go into beer saloons only for children, and Cyril is nearer being a man than us, because he is the eldest, so he went. The others sat in the sun and waited. "Oh, how hot it is," said Robert. "Dogs put their tongues out when they are hot. I wonder if it would cool us at all to put out ours." "We might try," Jane said, and they all put their tongues out as far as ever they could go, so that it quite stretched their throats. but it could seem to make them thirstier than ever, besides annoying everyone who went by, so they took their tongues in again, just as Cyril came back with beer. I had to pay for it out of my own money, though, that I was going to buy rabbits with, he said. They wouldn't change the gold, and when I pulled out a handful, the man just laughed and said it was card counters, and I got some sponge cakes too, out of glass jar on on the bar counter, and some biscuits with caraways in. The sponge cakes were both soft and dry, and the biscuits were dry too, and yet soft, which biscuits ought not to be, but the ginger beer made up for everything. It's my turn now to try to buy something with the money, Anthea said. I'm the next eldest. I'm next eldest. Where is where is the pony cart kept? It was at the Checkers, and Anthea went in the back way to the yard, because they all knew that little girls ought not to go into the bars of beer saloons. She came out, as she herself said, pleased but not proud. He'll be ready in a brace of shakes, he said. She remarked, and he's to have 1 sovereign, or whatever it is, to drive us into Rochester and back, besides waiting there till we've got everything we want. I think I managed very well. You think you're so jolly clever, I dare say, said Cyril moodily. How did you do it? I wasn't jolly clever enough to go taking handful of money out of my pocket to make it seem cheap anyway, she retorted. I just found a young man doing something to a horse's legs with a sponge and a pail, and I held out 1 sovereign, and I said, do you know what this is? He said, no, and he called his father, and the old man came, and he said it was a spade guinea, and he said was it my own to do as like with, and I said yes, and I asked about the pony cart, and I said he could have the guinea if he'd drive us into Rochester, and his name is S. Crispin. And he said, right, oh. It was a new sensation to be driven in a smart pony trap along the pretty country roads. It was very pleasant too, which is not always the case with the new sensations, quite apart from the beautiful plans of spending the money which each child made as they went along, silently, of course, and quiet itself, for they felt it would never have done to let the old innkeeper hear them talk in the affluent sort of way in which they were thinking. The old man put them down by the bridge at their request. If you were going to buy a carriage and horses, where would you go? Asked Cyril, as if he were only asking for the sake of something to say. Billy Peace Marsh at the Saracens' head, said the old man promptly. Though ought forbid I should recommend any man who where it's a question of a horses, no more than I'd take anybody else recommending if I was a buying one. But if you're past thinking of a rig of any sort, there ain't a straighter man in Rochester, nor civiller spoken, than Billy, though I says it.
Very
Thank
good,
you.
well done. Okay, good. So, I couldn't find a pile of gold coins, but I found a pile of gold bars, so we'll have to make do with that. Okay, nicely read, well done. Bear with me a second, and we've got some individual words. Bear with me.
Yay!
Of course, come on. So the first one, it's that EA, how it can change the way it's pronounced. So heavily and wearily. Yeah, to be
Oh, really?
weary.
I forgot.
Yeah, try it.
Weary? Weary.
So heavily
Then,
and wearily.
heavily and wearily.
That's it, very good. Then remarked, silent E.
Remarked.
Yes, silent E. And then a guinea.
Guinea.
A guinea.
Oh.
Yeah, he said all sorts of things there. Now, in this case, the guinea, it was 21 shillings in old money, what we call old money. Of course, we're decimalised now, so a pound is 100 pence. But in old money, a shilling was 12 pennies, and a pound was 12 shillings, and a guinea was 21 shillings, I think, pre-decimal. Okay, so that was a guinea. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was about. It was again. It was gold. Okay, so a sovereign was gold and a guinea was gold. I can't remember. I think it was a little smaller than a sovereign, but don't quote me on that. But yes, a guinea was old money. Okay.
Is it one coin, Lynn? A guinea?
It was, and then it became a measurement of a number of coins. Okay, because gold, people used to make coins from gold and silver, but it became more expensive than the actual value of the coin. So now they're made of base metals rather than precious metals, of course. But you can still collect these things. You can still buy them from antique stores and from coin collectors, numismologists. But they're worth a lot more than a pound. Okay, the next one is the Saracen. The Saracen's Head. It's a common pub name. Saracen. Try it.
Okay, it's Saracens.
That's it. And this next one is just how to say it. Okay, it's not right O. It's not an O of surprise. It's not an exclamation. It's an agreement. Right-o. Right-o. Let's do that. Okay? Try it. Right-o.
Okay. Right-o.
That's
right-o.
it. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. It's just like saying yes. Okay? Okay, very good. Any questions?
If I remembered correctly with this word remark as praise, it's like a word praise in synonym. Is it true or not?
Sorry. Praise?
A praise is a synonym of remark. I don't.
Can you type it up?
Remember.
Remarked, you mean? Remarked?
Remark. Yes, remark.
No, remarked is just mean to say something. He remarked. Okay? It's to...
Okay.
If you remark on something, you talk about it or you mention it, to mention something. Okay, but it can, in this context, it would also mean to say something, but with a definite specific. There's a kind of specificity to it. You can say something, you can say anything, but if you remark on something, you mention it. Okay, and you say it in a specific way. Okay. You might be thinking of remarkable. I'm trying to think of what you might think of. There is a word remarkable, which means amazing.
Yes, that was what.
Okay, that's what you were thinking of. Okay, that's kind of like, wow, that's incredible. That's really remarkable. Not the same as remarked. Okay.
Okay, Lynn.
Okay, good. You might remark that something is remarkable, but let's not get too confusing. Okay. So the last person to speak today, to read today, is Tough Guy. Tough Guy, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay, whenever you're ready then.
Thank you, said Cyril, the Saracens head, and now the children began to see one of the laws of nature turn upside down and stand on its head like an acrobat. Any grown-up person would tell you that money is hard to get and easy to spend. But the fairy money had been easy to get, and spending it was not only hard, it was almost impossible. The tradespeople of Rochester seemed to shrink to a tradesperson from the glittering fairy gold. Foreign money, they called it for the most part. To begin with, Anthea, who had had the misfortune to sit on her hat earlier in the day, wished to buy another. She chose a very beautiful one trimmed with pink roses and blue breasts of peacocks. It was marked in the window, Paris model, 3 guineas. I'm glad, she said, because it says guineas and not sovereigns, which we haven't got. But when she took 3 of the spades guineas in her hand, which was by this time rather dirty, owing to her not having put on gloves before going to the gravel pit, the black silk young lady in the shop looked very hard at her, and went and whispered something to an older and uglier lady, also in black silk, and then they gave her back the money and said it was not current coin. It's good money, said Anthea, and it's my own. I dare say, said the lady, but it's not the kind of money that's fashionable now, and we don't care about taking it. I believe they think we have stolen it, said Anthea, rejoining the others in the street. If we had gloves, they wouldn't think we were so dishonest. It's my hands being so dirty fills their minds with doubts. So they chose a humble shop, and the girls bought cotton gloves, the kind at shilling, but when they offered a guinea to the woman looked at it through her spectacles and said she had no chance, so the gloves had to be paid for out of Cyril's money, with which he meant to buy rabbits, and so had the green imitation crocodile skin purse at 9 pence, which had been bought at the same time. They tried several more shops, the kinds where you buy toys and perfume and silk handkerchiefs and books, and fancy boxes of stationery and photographs of objects of interest in the vicinity, vicinity, but nobody cared to change a guinea that day in Rochester, and as they went from shop to shop, they got dirtier and dirtier, and their hair got more and more untidy, and Jean slipped and fell down on a part of the road where a had just gone by. Also, they got very hungry, but they found no one would give them anything to eat for their guineas. After trying two baker shops in vain, they became so hungry, perhaps from the smell of the cake in the shops, as Cyril suggested, that they formed a plan of a campaign in whispers and carried it out in des- desperation. They marched into a third baker shop. Beale was his name, and before the people behind the counter could interfere, each child had seized 3 new penny buns, clapped the 3 together between its dirty hands, and taken a big bite out of the triple sandwich. Then they stood at bay, with the 12 buns in their hands and their mouths very full indeed. The shocked baker's man bounded round the corner. Her, said Cyril, speaking as distinctly as he could, and holding out the guinea he got ready before entering the shops. Pay yourself out of that. Mr. Bill snatched the coin, bit it, and put it in his pocket. Off you go, he said, brief and stern, like the man in the song. But the, but the change, said Anthea, who had a saving mind. Change? Said the man. I'll change you. Out you goes. and you may think yourselves lucky I don't send for the police to find out where he got it. In the gardens of the castle the millionaires finished the buns, and though the currenty softness of these were delicious, acted like a charm in raising the spirits of the party. Yet even the stoutest heart quailed at the thought of venturing to sound Mr. Billy uh, Peasmarsh at the Saracen's Head on the subject of a horse and carriage. The boys would have given up the idea, but Jane was always a hopeful child, and Anthea generally an obstinate one, and their ear- earnestness prevailed.
Very
The whole
good.
party.
Yep, that's it. Good. Well done. Okay, so bear with me a second. That one last word at the end. Let's have a look. Okay. So the first part is gravel. Gravel is tiny stones, and the gravel pit is full of tiny stones. Well, it's full of gold at the moment, but when it's not full of gold, it's full of tiny stones that you can use in road building and on paths, etc. So it's not grave. We do say a grave, where you bury the dead, a grave, or if it's a grave, serious situation, but we say gravel. Try it.
Gravel.
That's it. So gravel pit.
Gravel pit.
That's it. Good. And then the next one, I think you might have just misread it, but change, not chance. Okay. Change, yes. And then here, not her. So when you give somebody something, sometimes you can say here, just to say here it is, here, take it. Okay. Here. Try it.
Here.
That's it. And the last word, right at the end, to be earnest, to show earnestness.
Okay. Earnestness.
That's it. Very good. Now, I just want to check. Everybody knows what they meant when they said foreign money? What's foreign money? Do you think? What did they mean?
Foreign, perhaps.
Yes, that's it. Foreign, exactly. But it's a dialect, yeah? Oh, that's foreign food. Oh, that's foreign money. Imagine having all that gold and not being able to spend it. Brilliant. And the last one, it's just about how he would say this. So he says thank you to the coach driver, but then he's basically reminding himself what the coach driver said. So it would be the pronunciation, was fine, but the intonation would be slightly different. So it would be something like, thank you, said Cyril, the Saracen's Head. Because he's kind of reminding, I don't know if you ever do that, repeat something to remind yourself. You don't say it the same as the Saracen's Head or the Saracen's Head. It's like, the Saracen's Head, I'm reminding myself. Okay, do you want to try it?
Okay. So I should have said like this. Thank you, said Cyril, the Saracen's Head. Right?
Yeah, it's like he's just less stress. He's not saying it out loud. It's almost, well, he is, but he's basically saying it to himself rather than to somebody else. So he's saying thank you to the coach driver. So thank you, said Cyril, the Saracen's Head. And he's just saying it to himself. Okay, subtle but worth knowing. That's how I read it anyway. You can disagree, but I think so. So any questions? Anything anybody not sure of? And of course, what's going to happen to all that gold? I wonder. We'll find out next week. I'll see if I can find some coins for next week. I think that would probably, that gold that we've got on the coffee table would probably break the coffee table, to be honest. But there you go. No questions? No? Everybody happy?
Currency.
Oh yeah, currency. You know what a current is?
Current.
No, not currency.
Current?
No. A current?
No. Currency. The fruit that
Yes.
blue.
Yeah. So they're just using that sweet, soft fruit as an adjective, the currenty softness. It's fruity and sweet and just yummy. Yeah, exactly. Happy as Larry. Good.
And stand at bay, Lynn.
Ah, yeah, good question. Normally that's used in hunting, okay? If you're at bay, you're basically under attack. Okay? So if you're being cornered, so often you would say the stag was at bay, or not so much rabbits, to be honest. I've never heard anybody say the rabbit was at bay, but the stag was at bay. It was being hunted, it was cornered, and it turned to face its attackers. It means you're feeling under attack, okay? And the kids by now, I think, are paranoid, and they're feeling a little hard done by. They're at bay. They're feeling under attack, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next week we'll be starting from the whole party. Yep. Does everybody agree with that? I always have to make a note in the forum. And don't forget, if you check the forum before the session, yeah, the link is there to the book, and also all your corrections are there, and where we'll be reading from this week. I think Poetria, Eleanor has created a document as well. Have you shared the link?
Yes, it's updated. Yes.
Could you?
Are we on page?
Yeah, I've only got the Gutenberg. Okay, I've only got the Gutenberg one. Yeah.
Yes, I have it.
Okay, lovely. Super. I will put it into there. I'll just make sure it's
updated.
Accessible. Yep. I'll make sure it's accessible. Okay,
It says
excellent.
happy size of Australian or New Zealand origin. I didn't know it. Who was Larry?
Okay, so on that we will finish, and I'll see you, I'm sure, around on the forum, in sessions. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll speak to you later. Oops.
Did you say z like closed?
Clothed.
Closed.
Can you say closed?
Closed.
Okay, you can
Closed.
say
That's
closed,
it.
you can say clothed. It's just from the z to the th. Clothed.
Clothed. Oh,
Yeah,
clothed.
that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
TH is pretty
I know,
hard.
I know. It's just that, it just takes practice. Okay. Okay, tough guy's trying to find us. How come he can never find us? Because I can never send him a teleport. That's the problem. Oh well, he'll just have to take a text thing. There you go. Okay, so the next bit is just about intonation. So it's a whole sentence. The pronunciation was perfect, okay? So don't worry about the pronunciation. It's just the intonation. And it's an if sentence, so it's an if clause, okay? If all that dream about the sand fairy was real, this real dressing seemed very like a dream, the girls thought, okay? So the girls are thinking, if that, then this. Do you want to try it, or do you want me to read it again?
Okay. Okay. If all that dream about the sand fairy was real, this real dressing seemed very like a dream, the girls thought.
That's it. That little bit at the end, the girls thought, is almost a little throwaway statement. You don't have to stress on it at all. The most important part is the if part of the sentence, and then it's just adding who was thinking that, and the fact that it was both the girls thinking it. Oh well, if that was a dream, this very real might be a dream too. Everything might be a dream. I thought. Okay, I just want to confirm everybody knows what they mean by apple pie beds. Has anybody ever had an apple pie bed? Your favourite?
I wanted to ask that.
I
What does
thought
it
you
mean?
might. I've forestalled you.
I watched one video with this one little boy, naughty boy, prepared the trap for the victim.
Okay.
And I will find.
It's a harmless trap. It's a harmless prank. Okay. So I wouldn't
Yes,
call
a
it a
good
trap as such. It's a prank. Yeah. A prank. I mean, basically, it's a practical joke. Okay. And what you do is, it doesn't really work with duvets. It only works if you have blankets and sheets. So it's a little bit of an old-fashioned prank nowadays with continental duvets everywhere. But you just basically fold back the sheet so that you can't actually stretch out fully. Okay, your feet get caught in the sheet. Okay. Now there's another apple pie bed that I also know of where it's a bit nastier and it involves actually making the bed wet. But that's a different. That's a different kind of
I
prank.
shared. This is this video with this little boy
Okay.
making.
Let's have a look. I can't actually. Oh no, it's asking me if I want to open it. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Antonio11, and this is my video on how to short sheet. Now, short sheeting a bed is a very easy prank because you don't need.
My goodness, he took 5 minutes to explain it. Okay. It doesn't really need 5 minutes explanation. Yeah, they call it short sheeting. I think that must be an American term, but it's an apple pie bed. And as I say, there's also another version where you actually make sure that the bed is wet. But I'm not sure if that's called an apple pie bed or if that's got another name. But there are lots of little pranks like that little brothers are meant to carry out on you. I don't have any brothers, so I kind of missed out on all that. Thank goodness. Okay. So, who's next to read? April, you're next. Is that okay? Is there any more questions? Was that your only question, April?
Is that
A brecker is...
If all that dream about the sand fairy was real, his real dressing seemed very like a dream. The girls thought. Jane felt that Cyril was right, but Anthea was not sure, till after they had seen Martha and heard her full and plain reminders about their naughty conduct the day before. Then Anthea was sure. Because, said she, servants never dream anything but the things in the dream book, like snakes and oysters, and going to a wedding. That means a funeral, and snakes are a false female friend, and oysters are babies. Talking of babies, said Cyril, where's the lamp? Martha's going to take him to Rochester to see her cousins. Mother said she might. She's dressing him now, said Jane, in his very best coat and hat. Bread and butter, please.
Okay.
She seems to like...
Okay, yep, well done. Nicely done. Okay, so well done. Just one little thing. Always at the end. There's always something at the end. So, just 2 words. So, very well read. Well done. The first one, though, is clothed. It's just a silent E, not clothed. So, you've got clothes, yeah, silent E, and clothed is also a silent E. Try it.
Clothes.
That's it. Good. And then coat. Just make sure you get the T ending. 'Cause
Coat.
Coat. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Because it was like code, or it wasn't even that, and I wasn't sure what you'd actually said. It might be my hearing going, but I don't think so.
Could you repeat Liam first word, how to pronounce?
Clothed.
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 Just clothed. Yeah, clothed. Clothed.
Clothed. Clothed. Oh, I can't. Clothed.
That's because you're still seeing the E. Just close your eyes, don't look at the word, and say clothed.
But
Okay, so welcome to the English Book Club, and we're reading Five Children and It. Okay, so we've been reading it a couple of weeks now, and we're actually on chapter 2. I've given you the link, so that's the book we're reading from. I know a couple of you have got a different link. It's up to you, but I might correct you when it's just a difference between the texts. So just be aware. All right. Reading list is Rima to start. So Rima, are you ready?
yes, okay.
Okay, take it away.
Okay, chapter 2, Golden Guineas. Antia woke in the morning from a very real sort of dream, in which she was walking in the zoological gardens on a pouring wet day without an umbrella. The animals seemed desperately unhappy because of the rain, and were all growling gloomily. When she awoke, both the growling and the rain went on just the same. The growling was the heavy regular breathing of her sister Jane, who had a slight cold and was still asleep. The rain fell in slow drops onto Antia's face from the wet corner of a bath towel, out of which her brother Robert was gently squeezing the water, to wake her up, as he now explained. "Oh, drop it," she said rather crossly. So he did, for he was not a brutal brother, though very ingenious in apple pie beds, booby traps, original methods of awaking sleeping relatives, and the other little accomplishments which make home happy. "I had such a funny dream," Antia began. "So did I," said Jane, waking suddenly and without warning. "I dreamed we found a sand fairy in the gravel pits, and it said it was a semiad, and we might have a new wish every day, and—" "But that's what I dreamed," said Robert. "I was just going to tell you, and we had the first wish directly it said so. And I dreamed you girls were donkeys enough to ask for us all to be beautiful as they, and we jolly well were, and it was perfectly beastly. But can't different people all dream the same thing?" said Anthea, sitting up in bed. "Because I dreamed all that as well as about the zoo and the rain, and baby didn't know us in my dream, and the servants shut us out of the house because the radiantness of our beauty was such a complete disguise, and—" The voice of the eldest brother sounded from across the landing. "Come on, Robert," it said. "You'll be late for breakfast again, unless you mean to shirk your bath as you did on Tuesday." "I say, come here a second," Robert replied. "I didn't shirk it. I had it after breakfast in father's dressing room because ours was emptied away." Cyril appeared in the doorway, partially clothed. "Look here," said Antia. "We've all had such an odd dream. We've all dreamed we found a sand fairy." Her voice died away before Cyril's contemptuous glance. "Dream," he said. "You little sillies, it's true. I tell you it all happened. That's why I'm so keen on being down early." We'll go up there directly after breakfast and have another wish. Only we'll make up our minds solid before we go. What it is we do want, and no one must ask for anything unless the others agree first. No more peerless beauties for this child, thank you, not if I know it. The other three dressed, with their mouths open,